Welcome back to another episode of Collider Jedi Council. I'm Kristian Harloff, a.k.a. Darth Harloff, and this is our Star Wars show. We talk everything, you've guessed it, Star Wars. I have a really full council today. I'm excited to be on this council, as I am every week, but these guys are great. First, he is Mark 2D2, Mark Ellis. Hello, Marcus.
Thank you, Kristian. I am so excited to see all the Jedi Council fans that were in Syracuse. They came see me do stand-up last week. There's a ton of Jedi Council fans out there, and they're live human beings that show up and go to places.
They like us. They really like us. Sitting next to him is Obi-Jon Kenobi, John Campia.
I refute that because I am a Star Wars Jedi Council fan, and I never go places, nor do I ever leave the house.
And next to him, it is his second appearance on the council. It is Boba Schnepp, Jon Schnepp. What's up,
going
Schnepp?
on, you Star Wars nerds?
Hey, we have a really cool show today. We're going to talk about all the Star Wars news going on. Getting closer, guys. Getting closer. We are on the path to The Force Awakens. Mark, first thing we do here on the show, simply the Star Wars movie news. This is everything that happens in the world of the movie news. This could be any of the spin-off, the anthology, the Star Wars stories, whatever the hell they're called, as well as episodes 7, 8, 9. Mark, what's going on in the world of Star Wars movie news?
We are kicking off with a bang because what bigger movie news than news about when you can pay money to go see the movie that we're talking about,
Yay!
The Force Awakens. It comes out December 18th, but you can get your tickets as early as October, as was first reported by Full of Sith. You can get tickets on October 19th, and then it was later confirmed by our buddies over at Fandango. You can get Force Awakens tickets on sale in October. Now, the exact date hasn't been confirmed by Fandango, but it is going to be sometime in October, so I think I know what we're doing that month.
Yeah, this is going to be an indication, I think, right after those go on sale. First of all, John, I want to be on Movie Talk the next day because from how many tickets are sold and in the amount of time that they're sold in, I think we're going to start predicting our box office weekends. We're going to start saying, oh, wait a minute, they sold this amount of tickets already this fast. It's going to be really interesting. And I think a lot of those, even people in our industry, most people want to see this movie opening night with a crowd.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to all see the press screenings and everything too, but I think a lot of us are going to want to see it opening night. So it's really exciting to know that in October, about 2 months before you can buy it, they're going to come out. But Schnepp, you hear the news that they're going on sale here, the tickets. How are you feeling about it?
I'm really excited. You know what? I'm going to see it at the Grauman's Chinese. I've seen every movie since I moved here. I saw The Phantom Menace. I saw, Attack of the Clones, and then Revenge of the Sith, all at the Grauman's. And I stood in line, actually,
it's old
for
school.
Phantom Menace for like 8 hours. I didn't do the 30-day sleep-a-camp thing, but I did actually. I was at the very end of the line with everybody with the lightsabers and stuff, but for that and Attack of the Clones. Let's not talk about the prequels, but I'm really excited about this one, The Force Awakens. So I'm going to see it with all the fans because I'm a fan too. Any press screening I get to see, I'm going to go.
Right.
But then I'm going to see it opening, not the first show or whatever that opening night. I'm going to try to see it with as many Star Wars fans as possible because it makes a difference to
John?
be around people who love the film.
Well, I'm one of these people that I am telling myself I am going to avoid the press screenings, and my first screening of it will be on opening night with all the fans. Now, I say that. I can tell myself
You're
that.
full of Sith.
I'm also telling myself one day Jennifer Garner will be mine.
Yeah.
It's not going to make it so.
You got a better shot now than you did a couple months ago.
I do. There's no way. I'm going to be able to avoid going to go see this in advance, but I am going to go opening night. Somebody asked me on Twitter, why release the tickets this early? And the answer, there is only one answer, as a marketing gimmick, because this is what they're going to do. Middle of October, they're going to put it out, and they're not even going to put out the tickets for 3,000 theaters. They're going to put out the tickets for 700 theaters will be available. And it's going to sell out in 18 minutes or 27 minutes or whatever it's going to be that it sells out. And then the very next day, I tell you right now, the Disney marketing machine has already got their press releases ready right now. It's Star Wars The Force Awakens sells out advance tickets in record time and record. Why is it coming out this early? So they use it as a marketing tool. And I don't say that as a bad thing. That's genius. That is absolute genius because it is going to sell really quick. And then they're going to release a new batch 1 week later. And that's going to sell out in 15 minutes. And they're going to release a new batch. And it's just an incredible marketing move.
Yeah.
But that's all this is. It is just marketing. But you're right. We are going to get our first indications. let's not be swayed too much by how fast they sell tickets. Let's first find out how many theaters were made available. But you're right. We are going to get our first indications, our first taste about what can we expect for those opening weekend box office numbers. It's going to be interesting to see.
Mark?
It is totally a marketing thing. I acknowledge that is why they're doing it as a driving force, but it also is very helpful. Like when you look at like when these guys sold out Shea Stadium, you couldn't go online and buy tickets, but now that this is this early in October, you can actually go on there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it because I'm going to be in Tempe, which by the way, you can also get tickets for that in October. I'll be at the Tempe Improv December 18th, and I'm going to want to get tickets and make sure I can go right after the shows to go see this with the crowd. Everybody wants that theater experience, and this is the best way to do it, is to go in October and make sure that your tickets are set.
Now, show of hands at the table. Honestly.
You guys too. You can do it too.
How many of us at this table or watching at home are going to get online, buy their first tickets for the earliest possible screening, and then immediately get back online and buy the next showing available? Like, how many of us are planning on seeing multiple times opening night?
I
know I am.
Boy,
I don't know yet because I'm already planning and hoping. I'm hoping for the opening.
There's been a
You should
hoping.
play Sinead.
Yeah, hoping. I'm hoping that by the time we get to the December 18th, that I've already seen the movie a couple of times. I'm hoping I'm going to try to weasel my way into as many press screenings as possible.
Oh, sure, me too.
Star Wars, a new opening.
A new opening. Yeah.
Opening.
So, but I think that I'm definitely going to see it opening night. I have to because I want to see with the crowd. I want to hear because of Star Wars Celebration. Mm-hmm. When Mark and I were able to witness the trailer with the fans, and I'm not saying that the press people are not going to be fans. They will be. It'll be a different vibe in the press screenings as well too, but not the same as watching it with the fans. Like when those opening titles come up, the theater is going to lose it.
I'm going to cry. I'm not
I'm
lying.
telling you, man, when I was at
literally gonna
Celebration,
cry.
the energy in that room, it's hard to explain. And like, I don't weep up at anything.
And no judgment if any of us cry,
No,
please.
listen, I don't weep up at
Don't
anything.
be looking at other
I've gotten,
people.
dude, listen, I've gotten the comments, Schnepp, on there about like, oh, you grown man weeping in Han Solo? Yeah, and I'll do it again. Because you can't explain the emotion that you're feeling. It took back all these memories. I was 6 years old again. And I was watching it, and it was amazing. Like, we're both like, two kids going, ah! Like, that feeling is going to be there on opening night because of the fans, because of people who are going to have that same energy that we all do. You have to go open.
This kind of epitomizes one of the things that I talk about a lot. Nothing replaces the actual cinema going experience.
Right.
Now, and this is the top of the mountain of that, because it is a totally different beast when you're there with a live audience that is all collectively weeping and cheering and jumping up and down. It's like nothing you can experience at home or anywhere else. And so, yeah, I'm like you. Like you and I are probably going to see this, all of us this year. We're going to probably see it multiple times before that film opens, but it won't matter to me. I'm going to want to go see that 2 or 3 times opening night just to see it with an audience again. Because once I know this part of the movie everybody's going to love, and I'm just going to be in there just to see what everybody in the audience does when that
watching them freak out.
Yes.
And
It's gonna be so
I'll tell you
much
another
fun.
reason why too is because, like Mark said before, I want to see how many Jedi Council fans are there too. I want to talk to the
it's gonna be
Council
pretty
fans.
cool.
It's going to be interesting to be there and talk Star Wars before the movie starts.
Right.
You're all going to be talking Star Wars. You're all going to be giving your theories beforehand. It becomes like, again, bringing up Celebration. It becomes a special community who are so happy that we're getting it back again. So I'm curious to have those conversations with the fans before it starts. It's going to be.
You know what we should do?
Yeah.
We should see if we can call some of the people that we know, and we should see if Jedi Council can host a screening of
I would love that.
The Force Awakens.
I would love that. That'd be great.
We should look into that.
Well,
All right.
We'll look into it.
We'll do it. We'll
All
look
right.
into it.
Here we go. So the next story before we move on here is that there was a little tweet today. Our friends over at AMC had released a tweet, I think by accident, because the tweet is gone now, basically saying that, hey, before the new movie comes out, recapture all the old movies are basically they're saying that episodes 1 through 6 they're going to do a marathon of it. I forget what the actual tweet was, but then it was pulled. I'm sure Disney or somebody was like, nope. No.
I think the tweet read like, "We had a great version of this last year. Everyone would have loved it." And then they
took it out.
Bing bong.
But I think that we've talked about this before on the show, John. Like this, they're going to do this. They should do this, and I'm curious if they're going to do 1 through 6 and then leads right into 7.
Well, there's a couple of interesting dynamics to this story. Number one, I don't believe for a second it was an accident. I haven't talked to anybody at AMC about this, but I know AMC several times in the past when there's something really big was coming, but the studio says, okay, you guys can't do this. Regal has on several occasions accidentally put it out first and then, oh, I'm sorry, when we pulled it back. I've got a feeling AMC might be doing a little bit of that as well. That aside, I think there's a couple ways they could approach this. Number one, they could have a weekend marathon where they have episodes 4, 5, and 6 Saturdays, episodes 1, 2, and 3 on Sunday. You could do, which I'm sure they will. They'll probably do both of these. Then they will probably, on opening night, like they did with the Avengers release, they will have watch starting at 9 in the morning. Episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, culminating in the 11:59 p.m. first screening of Star Wars. They'll probably do both. And there is absolutely no reason why they shouldn't. This makes sense. Lots of people like me, we're going to run out and see them. I may not go for episodes 1, 2, and 3, but we're all going to run out and see it. A lot of us will probably even get in line and be there for the whole day for all the Star Wars films until episode 7. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll be there from episodes 3 until 6. But Mark?
Yeah, and it also is no coincidence that this also happened today when the news came out, when the tickets actually go on sale, because AMC wants you to remember that they are the theater you should go to buy your tickets, because if you try to go to that tweet now, I know they took it off, but if you click on that, it goes to a page, and it's a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi telling you this is not the page you're looking for.
Now, to be fair, that's been their 404 page for about 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to be fair, that Obi-Wan, this isn't the page.
Well, now it finally pays off.
No, yeah, now it works.
Now it actually makes sense.
Advanced planning, really good planning.
What do you think?
What about them doing the 1 through 6? Definitely. I mean, AMC did that with their Avengers. They played all the Marvel movies beforehand. It just makes sense, and it's great if you want to go see all those films in the theater and then see the brand new one. Why not? And I'm with you. I'm like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So, Psycho, I forgot to ask earlier, what is actually, because I want to go to the Grauman's as well, that or AMC, especially if they're playing in the Prime, but what is the name of the Grauman's now? It's changed. Is it the Dolby Cinema now?
No, it's got a weird name. It's like TC. Can one of you guys look it up?
TCM?
It's like TCL.
THC Cinema?
Yeah.
Get really high.
Yeah. They give you space cakes before you see the movie.
All right, Mark, what's next?
Well, we also want to thank our friends at StarWars7News.com. They're the reason why we have a lot of these stories to give you guys. They not only aggregate all the other Star Wars news that's online, but they also report on a lot of stuff themselves first. So one of the stories we got that they took from yakface.com says that there's several new photos of merchandise from The Force Awakens, and it's some renders of some familiar characters as well as ones we haven't gotten to meet yet. So when you look at this current roster, Kristian, which one stands out to you as I got to see more of what that dude's about?
Well, we've been talking about the Goovian Enforcer, or however you pronounce that. This dude over here.
Yeah.
That guy's awesome looking.
He looks straight out of a video game.
Hell is that guy? I love that.
Cyclops.
Now the reason I like PZ4CO is because I know him now because I have been reading a lot of the canon books, and one of the young reader books, the Moving Target book with Leia, he's in it, and he's kind of serves as like a 3PO type character for Leia. So it's nice to see me learning from someone in a book first time, and then seeing him here, knowing that he's going to be a part of Episode 7. And General Hux, I want to know. There's more mystery to this guy. We don't know enough about him yet. He's going to play a pretty large part. He's a young general. So those are the ones that stand out to me. But Ellis, what about you?
General Hux just looks straight up evil. You know, I know that he's a young guy. We want him to maybe have some conflicting about whether he's evil or he's good or who he's fighting. I think that dude's just evil. I also love the way the X-Wing pilot looks. He just looks like he's got an attitude. It fits with the Poe Dameron model of I'm the best pilot in the galaxy. He might give Poe a run for his money.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I like the Resistance Trooper. How do you say Guavian?
I don't know yet. Guavian, I would say.
Cyclopean, weird red dude.
Yeah.
I mean, these look like they're from the packaging for action figures.
Yeah.
That's basically what it looks like. You could even see the side buckling on some of the imagery where the plastic is coming out. So those are definitely like you're going to be able to have action figures of all 6 of these characters. As far as which one I would buy, definitely the Guavian Enforcer and the weird blue dude. What's his name? PZ4CO.
PZ4CO, yeah.
He's pretty cool looking.
John?
Whenever I see the Resistance Trooper, all I can think of ground control to Major Tom for whatever reason. The Goovian Enforcer, he looks really cool. I think the rest of them honestly look kind of lame.
Really? Even Hux?
No. Hux. I'm still very curious about Hux to really see what kind of a role he's playing in this movie, and like whether he's got 2 sides to him. Is he straight up the evil guy like Mark's suggesting? That would be interesting as well. So Hux. Groovian looks interesting. The other ones look kind of lame to me. To be honest.
Goss Tours.
Tours.
He looks like an Ugnaught. Remember those guys?
Oh yeah. Cloud
right.
City represent.
Piglian.
All right, what's next?
Well, you can go as far back as you want or to a galaxy as distant as Star Wars, and you still are going to run into TMZ photos. That's right. Rogue One has the latest film production to be had by TMZ, or at least TMZ's cameras caught some pics, and from the looks of it, it doesn't look that dissimilar from what we saw from that early concept art of Rogue One, where you had some sort of ship that had rebels running outside of it. It looks like it maybe crash landed. Then you also have a shot of a bunker. You also have some dead stormtroopers that are, I hope nobody's actually inside of those, that are actually floating in the water. So it looks like there was a battle taking place pretty close proximity to a beach. There was another photo that came out that had what looked like a lot of the stars of the movie all in close proximity doing a scene, but it's hard to get confirmation on that. Kristian, did you take anything away from these photos?
Yeah, I love the floating stormtroopers. They're laid out. I mean, this just goes into what we've heard and what we know. It's a war film. It's going to be a war film. It's going to be the war film of Star Wars that we really never got. I mean, we got the Clone Wars, but it didn't live up to our expectations. So this is going to be a full-out war, a full-out battle. It looks like it already. I like the bottom right-hand corner because we get some of our stars. I mean, StarWars.com, I believe, StarWars7News.com is the ones who have labeled that, I believe. But number 3 is Felicity Jones getting made up, and then you see Diego Luna. You see all of our cast, like just they're in it. And I love that they're in it, and it's also pretty fascinating that we have 2 Star Wars movies shooting right now. I think that's a first. I don't think that's ever happened.
It is.
Yeah. So very interesting. So that's what I take. I just see the war film. But John, you see the pictures. What do you think?
Honestly, these are the types of pictures I don't like to see.
No?
These really without context, clearly spy pictures.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff I don't like to see because I start formulating context in my own head, and I don't even want to do that. I mean, yeah, it's interesting seeing the floating stormtroopers. As you said, that just kind of reinforces what we already know. It's a war film, whatever. Seeing all these other extras and cast members standing around, it looks like some kind of entrance to a base or something. That could be interesting, but it's something without really being anything. So like I said, these are the type of shots I don't even like to see.
Schnepp?
Me personally, I like those pictures from like the first time I ever saw Iron Man was from across the street from a highway, really tiny image of Iron Man, cars going by. People were like, "Is that Iron Man?" I was like,
but that was
cool.
your first look at
That's
Iron
the
Man.
first look at Iron Man, so it was cool. I mean, but to me, like a bunch of floating stormtroopers, you're like, yeah, it's definitely like. My mind starts to go like, oh, okay, this is a battle scene. You know, how are they using those stormtroopers? Is it like camera going across?
Right.
You know, like are they chasing after someone?
Your director's mind starts going.
Yeah, or just visually, I just start to think about like what they're doing, and I personally love any behind the scenes shots that you get where you basically see the camera crew making people up, because then it makes me like, yeah, they're making the movie. I just like that, you know, even the stuff you're going to talk about later, like the second, you know, continuously shooting. They're shooting this film, they're shooting the other film.
Right.
It's just exciting to me, any glimpse that I can get. I don't care if it's stolen from a weird drone.
You like to see it.
I love to see it.
Elf?
Yeah, I like 2 of those, and then I'm done. You know, I like seeing like just enough to know that the movie's actually being made. And then you're right, I don't want to know too much about this movie. It does look like what's going to be cool is it appears we're going to see like a beach. Have we ever seen a beach in a Star Wars movie before? I know how Anakin Skywalker felt about sand, but
sand, it's coarse.
There's never been like water meeting sand.
Yeah,
there's been sand.
Revenge
there's
of
been
the
water.
Sith on Chewie's planet.
Right.
That's
and then-
right.
Kashyyyk,
That's right.
that
They
was
were
right.
storming the
Yeah.
beach. That's
Yeah.
right.
So now we get to see it again.
Right. Okay. Mark, what's next?
Was Mark Hamill in peril? Find out with this next story, because we're actually going to report on Skellig Michael Island, as we like to weekly on this show, is that at the start of episode 8 actually got postponed because they were going to film day 1 of episode 8, was going to be filming on Skellig Michael Island. They weren't able to do it because of some sort of weather issue. However, I think they were able to make up that time later in the week, as a report said that they wanted the ships to give the island a wide berth because there was going to be filming on Skellig Michael Island. That would have been Star Wars. Now, from this same article on /film.com, there was also mixed reports as to whether Mark Hamill was actually injured in a shoot for episode 7. There was one report that said he was walking up Skellig Michael Island up some rocks, slipped, and he almost fell off the side of a mountain. Luckily, there was a guide there to save him. And then Mark Hamill on Twitter said, fabricated stories usually contain a seed of truth. I didn't so much as stub a toe on Skellig Michael, but thanks for your concern. #false news. I tend to believe the Jedi Knight in the situation.
Why would he make it up? I totally agree as well, too. I think it was just a silly story like Betty White died. Remember that thing was going out there, and that's happened so many times. John Goodman, blah 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 blah. So no, I believe Mark Hamill. If Luke Skywalker says that he didn't hurt himself or didn't almost fall, it's Luke Skywalker, mother F.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's. I believe him when he says. I mean, it'd be one thing if he said, yes, I did slip, I did fall, I was in peril, much like on 9/11 when I was in the buildings. Oh, ouch! Is that too soon to go there? Sorry, modern news. Anyway, no, I don't believe there's any reason here that Hamill would lie about not ever being in trouble. I mean, it just seems like it would be a no-brainer. So yeah, I think this is totally fabricated.
I'm going to use Obi-Wan. It's like from a certain point of view, like maybe Mark was like walking up this hill and slipped a little bit, and somebody's like, "Yeah, I got you." He's like, "Thank you." The person was like, "I saved Mark Hamill's life."
Well, that makes sense because he does say there could be a crumb of truth.
Yeah.
No, we don't know. That's what he said. He said sometimes these stories have a crumb of truth.
Yeah, a crumb. Yeah, so that would make sense.
But he said it doesn't at all.
He didn't so much as stub a toe.
That's what I'm saying. But in Mark Hamill, he's like, I was never like in danger. I just kind of like, hey, whoa, and it's weird walking on these rocks. It's kind of dangerous.
Right.
Like, as a nothing.
I used the Force and saved Mark Hamill.
And someone else was like, I saved Luke Skywalker. It becomes this big.
It's like we're getting ready to cross the street to go in to have lunch, and there's a car way down there. I said, well, hold up a second, Schnepp. I just saved your life.
That's right.
I'm going to tell everybody about how I saved Jon Schnepp's life.
He was about to walk in front of this giant Mack truck, literally saved his life.
But I think the other side of the story is the fact that they have started filming on episode 8. I mean, now there was like a day or two ago where they postponed it, but they're into it now. This is exciting. I mean,
before the first one even comes out,
the continuation of the saga. They have to. What it means to me is that they have this plan as far as where 7, 8, and 9 need to go. They have a through line. They bring in these people. I think Rian Johnson's supposed to write 8 and 9. I know Trevorrow's doing 9, but that to me would make sense, and it ties it all together with the great blueprint we hope that J.J. Abrams has laid out here and that Kasdan has laid out. So it's very exciting that this and Rogue One are filming at the same time, and Episode 7 is in post. So, yes, anybody else have any other thoughts on this one?
I think that's why they're putting tickets on sale in October. They want to make sure The Force Awakens makes money so they can keep making these movies.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Well, speaking of making money, there's some news in the world of the Star Wars Land theme park expansion that was announced for both Disneyland and Disney World. And it appears that we have some good news, gentlemen. If we want to go there before we get too old to walk around ourselves, they are breaking ground almost a year earlier than was originally reported. It was said that they were going to break ground sometime in 2017. Now that's been moved up to 2016. And optimistically, we might be able to get into this thing by the end of the decade. Maybe Schnepp is so excited right now. And so are all of us. We still haven't gotten any official confirmation.
So they start building in 2016.
They start breaking ground. Literally a shovel goes into ground, and now we're working on Star Wars Land. Now that will have some ramifications for Star Wars fans in the meantime. One of which is that their Star Wars weekends that they have from time to time is going to be put on hold. And I think a lot of that is just because it's going to be closed off. A lot of the park is going to be under construction, so you can't do all the things that you're used to being done at Disneyland. Right. However, we all think it's going to pay off once the park finally opens.
And especially once the movies come out.
Sure.
Like once the movies come out, and Schnepp was saying this off air, John said this to me off air the other day, and they're right. As Star Wars fans of our generation, Episode 7, we need it to be great. We need it to be great. Now, this is again coming from our generation here of what it was, and I know that these guys have their explanations of why, and this also plays into the theme park. It really does because and Disney needs Episode 7 to be great because if you deliver on Episode 7 the way that and again I say this every week, I know that there are fans out there of the prequels, and God bless you if you're fans of the prequels and you grew up with them. Great. But you also have to recognize that a lot of people do not like them. As Star Wars fans, we would like to where the ratio kind of goes from here to here. And
these are the good movies.
These are the good movies up here. And we want 7 to be here. Yeah. And we want everyone to kind of be, okay, well, you can agree. We can't agree on the prequels, but we can agree Episode 7 kicked ass. That's a comment I want to see when it comes out. And Disney wants to see that with the theme park because 2016 is ambitious for them to start building already. That means that they have confidence in all the property and the way that it's been selling and everything, the excitement. But that means 2019, 2020 is when they're hoping again, there it is, hoping to open the door. And they're going to do it. I'll be there. I don't care about age. I'll be old. Schnepp, what do you think?
It's very exciting. I like the idea of how they're making. What is it going to Star Wars Land? What's it called?
That's kind of what they're unofficially
Right
calling
now
it
it's Star Wars Land, but
Star
who
Wars
knows?
Land. Well, I
Tomorrow
know
will be a
that
Star Wars story.
Star Tours is going to get moved when they break.
I got that.
When they break ground. When they break ground, they're going to move Star Tours. It won't be closed down. They're just going to move it somewhere else because that's a big attraction. I like everything I've heard that they're going to make everything interactive. Every single place you go, you're going to feel like you're in a Star Wars world, not just in it. You're going to be in an environment, but like. So that's kind of exciting. I don't want to get shot by a stormtrooper or anything, but
you might get escorted out if you drink too much blue milk.
Hey, that's right. And I believe you will be allowed to get drunk in a Star Wars world. But speaking about The Force Awakens and how it has to be great for myself, being a kid, seeing Star Wars, seeing Empire Strikes Back, seeing Return of the Jedi was a transformative thing for all of us, I'm sure. But like for me, it made me a science fiction fan. It was such an impact on my life. It made me want to get into making films. It just changed my life so strongly that, you know, the 17 years later when The Phantom Menace dropped and all this build up to this new Star Wars adventure, for myself and a lot of other people were disappointed by those prequels. Then 17 years after that, now we're seeing the thing that they've promised since I was a little kid, that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia will return, not in the prequels, but in sequels like 30 years later, which almost you couldn't even imagine as a kid. Now they're actually the age they're supposed to be without makeup. We're seeing Luke Skywalker as he's supposed to be 30 years. I mean, it's hard to even fathom why it's such an emotional thing for all of us, that those movies meant so much to us when we were kids, and we're seeing those people that we idolized 30 years later playing those same characters in this amazing and magical world that they created. So that to me is why it has to be great. It can't be a Jar Jar. I keep saying don't Jar Jar me. And I'm saying that joking, but not joking. I'm saying that dead serious. Like, everyone who worked on these stories, they know how important that these sequels are to us fans, to us older fans, just as much as the younger fans. So that's why it's really important to me.
Yeah, we're just talking about the Star Wars Land. I remember it was just not that long ago that they opened Cars Land at the Disney here in Anaheim, California. And I am not a big Cars fan, but I walked into Cars Land and I was like, you know what? Wow. If they wanted you to feel like you've walked into the movie, they did a really great job with Cars. And their feature ride, the racetrack thing, it's a great ride. Not much else of the Cars Land impresses me feature-wise, but it's true. When I walked into Cars Land the first time, I felt I was there. What they have been telling us about this new Star Wars Land is that it dwarfs anything they've ever done before. This is supposed to be more immersive, physically larger than anything that Disney's ever done in their entire existence up to this point. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter if we're 40 or if we're 50 or if we're 60. Star Wars is such an important part of our lives. It helps shape and mold about who all of us at this table are. We're going to be there and we're going to be excited and we're going to be freaking 7 years old.
Chasing Jawas around.
Yeah, like at least you've got an excuse. You got a daughter. You can pretend like you're there for her.
Oh, I'll lose my daughter in the park. She's not coming. Whoa. Star Wars 7 News saying, wait, hold on.
Take a breath.
Wait, it says, Hollywood Reporter says that Benicio del Toro is confirmed as Admiral Thrawn. Hollywood Reporter says this.
I love when news breaks on this show. This might be one of the biggest stories we've ever seen.
No, John Campy, I got you back.
I just opened Hollywood Reporter. I'm like,
they finally got Campy, but Campy had punked me before. I had to get him back on that one. So that's
as soon as you said,
note.
whoa, I'm like, oh, here he goes. So as soon as you said Hollywood Reporter, I started opening up Hollywood Reporter. Yeah, he's getting his revenge now.
I had a better plan on when I was going to do a movie talk, but it didn't go through. But anyway.
If it helps, you totally had me.
Good. Okay.
I was ready to report.
I did get Campy, though. I saw his face at one point. All right, so
That's the sequel to A New Happening. It's
New Happening.
Harloff Strikes Back.
Look, just really quick on the theme parks. Yeah, I'm excited for the theme park. I think The Force Awakens is going to be great. If it's really good, I'll still be jacked about it. I just want my Christmas card in 2020 to be me and 5 slave Leias in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
Nice. Okay, what's next?
That's right. Did we talk about that? You're actually going to be able to fly the Millennium
You're
Falcon?
going to be able to do so much that day. That's just from what they announced
insane.
at D23. Once they get closer and once the technology gets, because again, look at how much technology develops in 6 months. Imagine what kind of technology is going to be there in 2020.
Well,
and what they're
remember, too,
able
they
to
announced
do.
Cars Land has the one feature ride. Like going Cars Land, lots of little rides, but the one feature ride. They told us at D23 this is going to have 2 feature rides.
Right.
I'm sure a bunch of smaller attractions too, but I'm dying. I'm
Right,
just
and then
dying to
it'll
find
just
what those 2
develop
are.
more and more and
Yeah.
more as the park builds. It's a great. It's brilliant. I just wish it wasn't the last thing they talked about at D23. Okay, what's next?
Well, we go from flying the Millennium Falcon to a book, but a really cool book. It's The Art of the Force Awakens. It has been announced for release on, guess what? December 18th. That date sounds familiar. It's also the date that the movie that the book is based on is coming out. This is, you know, those cool Star Wars books that always have like all the concept art and all the things like leading up. It features a lot of production details about the movie. That's this book, and it's going to come out the same day. So you can actually go see the movie, then you can pick up the book, or maybe vice versa. Read the book while you're waiting in line to get your seat in the theater. The cover, that is the cover of the book, and it looks awesome. It's that Kylo Ren shot that we know from the trailers from a different angle, which a lot of cool Star Wars art does. It's concept art, so it's familiar settings, but not the exact picture you've always seen. This is a good indication of how cool that book's going to be.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love the cover of that book, and it's one of the reasons why I think I will absolutely be going to the press screening so I can buy this book before I have to see the movie on the 18th, because that way I won't get spoiled by anything. I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to look at all
it's not coming out until the 18th.
To the 18th. But I'm saying, like, because if I didn't see any press screenings, right?
Oh,
and then
right,
I'd have
right,
to go. I wouldn't want to be spoiled. So I would want to go, because I think that what a lot of people are going to do is they're going to go, if they want this book, they're going to go see the movie first, maybe with the first showing, whatever, then go and pick it up, or wait until the 19th to go get it because they don't want to be spoiled. Or they might just buy it, not look at it, be tempted like, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see. These are the types of books that I will get, because especially if I become a huge fan of Episode 7, which I believe I will. I want to see all the concept art. I want to see all the cool stuff, because we've seen a lot of leaked concept art. Right. So I don't know, but Campy, what do you think?
Well, these books are all great. They're all magnificent. And this kind of continues the trend that we saw with their soundtrack stuff. They are taking a lot of precautions to make sure they're putting out as little spoilers as possible. And because, maybe 10 years ago, you could have put out the book in advance and you wouldn't have to worry about it, every image from it showing up on Twitter and on Facebook, whatever.
Goes back to the soundtrack conversation we had last week. Right.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. So this makes sense. I mean, I want it now.
Right.
Of course I want it now, but it makes total sense them releasing it when they are. I think it's a good move on their part, and I can't wait to see it.
Mark?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so the plan on December 18th is going to be see the movie and then have the book already bought, but not open the book until after I see the movie.
Right.
Then I see the Rogue One teaser trailer and scene, hopefully, in the post-credits. Then I flip through the book, waiting for the next showing to happen.
Schnepp?
I can't buy the book before I see the movie because I will open it.
Yeah.
I will. I have.
You don't even trust yourself to hold the
No,
book
I know.
for-
I've ruined many movies for myself with the thought that I won't open it, and then I can't. I'm that guy. It's like, I must see all of it. And then, wow, it looks amazing. And then I've spoiled all the cool visuals, and I cannot. So I cannot wait to buy this. I love the Art of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I have all of the books since I was a kid. I got the blueprints. I got the storyboard books. That is part of the thrill to me, is the design work, and I'm lucky right now. I've got a bunch of friends who are working on Episode 8. I can't even communicate with them right now. I'm just like, because if I did, I'd be like, show me some stuff, send me some, and I'm like, no. So I can wait, because I know that if I actually had it in hand, I would be ripping that open. So I'm just gonna wait. I'll pre-order it on Amazon or whatever. I'll go to a bookstore. I see the sucky thing is it'll be sold out everywhere.
Well, that's why
That's how
on
I
the
feel.
12th, I'm going to pre-order it on Amazon.
Right.
And then it will probably show up sometime in the afternoon on the 18th. I won't be home. I'll already be like tailgate partying at the movie theater parking lot, getting ready to go and watch the movie again. And then I'll come home and I'll be able to crack it open and enjoy it.
Maybe I'll do that. I'll follow that.
The big story here is that, Schnepp, if you have friends that are working on Episode 8 that you don't want to talk to, you can give my number. Happy to call me.
All right, Mark, what's next?
Well, lastly, in the Star Wars movie news portion is airplane news. That's right, actual airplanes that are going to be designed after Star Wars characters. In the first one, no surprise, the greatest of all the Star Wars characters is R2-D2. He's instrumental in all 6 movies, and now he's going to be instrumental in flying you from Japan to places around the world. It actually is a R2-D2 designed airplane commercial flyer, and even cool, maybe not quite as cool, you're going to get to watch all 6 Star Wars movies in flight. And it's the first time that Star Wars movies have ever been available in flight. I was flying back from Syracuse this week, and they were running the Terminator. Jenny Smith was the movie playing, and I was like, you know what? Are they ever going to be like, would they ever run The Force Awakens on an airplane, or would Lucasfilm or Disney shoot that down? Well, now you can watch all 6 of them if you want to fly to Japan.
That was what stood out to me, because they showed this design again at Star Wars Celebration. They were showing, they were very proud of this. But when I read, you get to watch all the movies on the flight, especially if you're going to like somewhere, Japan or wherever
you're
you're
going.
11-hour,
12-hour flight
so
right
you
there.
get to watch all the movies. That's great. I wonder how big the screens are going to be. I wonder what the technology is going to be. Probably the same, but like
it's an actual movie theater.
You can watch it on a hologram by R2. But Mark, are you ever going to try to take a flight on one of these things?
Oh yeah, I'll gig in Japan for sure now. And also in November they're going to have another plane, and it's going to be modeled after this character right here. There's going to be a BB-8 plane, and then next year there's going to be another R2-D2 design. So it's only getting bigger.
Chewy design.
Where's the Kylo Ren ship? It's all black. So everything's
Cross
glowing.
guard in the back.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Yeah, John, you have any thoughts on that?
I had a friend named a Japanese friend of mine. His name is Jeremy, and I actually never knew what his original Japanese name was. But anyway, Jeremy, and he always used to tell me, John, the Japanese people, we love 3 things. And I'm like, okay, what's that? He goes, we love Anne of Green Gables, we love tentacle porn, and we love Star Wars. And like you just see that it's not a coincidence that it's a Japanese airline that's doing something as cool as this.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at that plane. That's
cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's just gorgeous.
Gotta convert a lot of people into Star Wars fans too.
Well,
Really-
I mean,
no,
you
well.
get on these flights, you see, this is such a great idea. I am so shocked that a North American airline hasn't jumped all over this first. Like,
Right.
like I said, I'm not surprised at all that a cool idea like this came from Japan first. It was it's such a great idea.
I'm just glad it's not in the hands of Southwest pilots who always like to crack jokes like, hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to be cruising at 12 parsecs for the rest of the flight.
They'd ruin it.
They ruined
I
it.
like Southwest airline pilot jokes.
No, but just don't mix it with the Star Wars. See, like, you
Yeah.
got to keep them
Like,
separated.
what if your pilot did his best Lando Calrissian imitation the whole flight?
As long as I was drinking Colt 45s, I'd be down.
I have a question for you guys before we move on to the next topic. It's something I was thinking about. $4.4 billion is what Disney paid for Lucasfilm, right?
4.25.
Whatever it was, right?
Bargain.
How exactly? That's my point here. What do we think before The Force Awakens has even? I mean, it hasn't even come out. How much do we think that it's made already, just on Star Wars with toys and
Force
like
Friday was $1 billion, right?
Yeah. Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's Force Friday. And that's not including some of the other merchandise that they have. And I mean, it's just already. Let's say they have made 1.5 or maybe even 2 already. They made that back in like 2 years.
Well, remember, you also got against that 4.25 billion. You have to put it into everything they're spending on making the toys for the So maybe you're looking at 200-300 million profit from Force Friday, whatever. The thing is, which goes to your point, it ain't going to take them long.
Right.
It's not going to take them long to make this back. I remember that aside from the overwhelming shock and joy and excitement I felt when I heard that Lucas had sold it to Disney and Disney was going to pick up with Episode 7, was they got it for how much?
Yeah.
How did they pull? The only thing I can think, and I don't know all the details of the deal, I got to think on top of that 4.25.
You got points. In
Oh,
Disney,
George
so,
has
yeah.
got points.
Yeah.
Georgie's going to be making money on Star Wars for a long, long
Well,
time.
and probably some company inside of Disney. He's probably got some stock in Disney and stuff too.
Oh, he absolutely got stock in Disney.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Lucas is like flipping through Groupons right now. Like, he's doing just fine.
That's right. I can't afford to shoot my special experimental films in my basement with these pennies.
But when you hear about like some sports franchises today selling for $1 billion, they're worth
Right,
$1 billion.
right.
It's like, this is Star Wars.
Yeah, because they're going to make it all. Because in your point with basketball, you don't know that those teams are going to make a profit. You know, Force Awakens is going to make a
and
huge.
it's
That movie will 100% make $1 billion. There's no one going to doubt. I mean, Minions made $1 billion.
I got a question.
Yeah.
The airplane. So it's going to have all 6 movies. Is it going to have like the Clone Wars and Rebels? Will it have all, like you could just select whatever from the menu?
It's a great.
Will it have the
yeah.
Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, it's not canon.
What? It's not.
canon.
Somebody told me it was.
No,
it's not.
It's not
Absolutely
canon. All right. Well,
Be
speaking
Arthur.
of canon, good transition here. This
Well
is
done.
this is the subject where we get into what's the deal with canon. Canon is what the hell is it? It's basically the history books. Everything that relates to the movies, ultimately. It could be the comic books, the video games, the novels, anything that ties into the world. I mean, the possible TV series, hopefully on Netflix. We shall see. Mark, we have a lot of stuff in the canon world today. What's up first?
It's going to be Lost Stars, Kristian. We're going to get into some books and some comic books, but right now we want to get your take on Lost Stars. You've read this, and it seems like this is one of the ones that's more geared towards young adults, but it's still, even with the big print, it's still really got your goat. Is that right?
This is my second favorite out of all the books. I ranked them all. I put it on my Instagram. If you want to see it, go check it out. Lords of the Sith, still my favorite, but then Lost Stars is absolutely the second. This was a crime that this was not pushed as hard as Aftermath. This book should have been. The love that you guys, by the way, have been giving Claudia Gray out there is well deserved, because these are people who heard me talk about it last week because I hadn't finished it yet, so that's why I'm reviewing it today. And the love that you guys are giving her, the people that have read it, it shows that this is really doing something for Star Wars fans, and it should, because so basically the story is this: you have these two kids, and if any questions you guys have about the novels, please shoot them out. But so it takes place. It starts off about 6 or 7 years before Episode 4, and this planet of Akiva is taken over by the Empire, and these two kids, they don't think the Empire is bad. They just think it's the government that is going to help their country prosper and all. I mean, their world prosper and all that stuff. So these two kids, one comes from the rich side, one from the poor side. They want to be part of the Empire, and there's a great cameo to where Tarkin comes in, and Tarkin talks to him, and that's what I loved about her writing, was she fit in these classic characters naturally. It was
without making you feel forced like certain other.
It was organic. You felt like, and she does this throughout the entire novel. And these Thane, and I don't want to even mess up her name, how to pronounce it, but the two main characters, the guy and the girl, and they basically get stationed on Coruscant, and they're trained there for a while. They're badass pilots, and they're friendly competing with one another, but the workings of the Empire is always testing them. One of them, I won't say who, goes and joins the rebellion because it's just fed up with the way the Empire is and takes off. The other one becomes an Imperial higher up in the ranks, but they're still very aware of one another. And it takes us through Episode 4, Episode 5, Episode 6, and then post-Jedi. And it has the same ties with the things I liked about Aftermath, to where they showed what was going on in the world of Star Wars. So does this. It's the same thing in Aftermath, where they establish that there is a new republic, that there is that Mon Mothma is in charge of it, but it's the relationships. And then the cover. All I can say is that the cover has a significant part to play in a lot of different things. I don't want to spoil it, but it is the writing of Claudia Gray. This is someone who understands Star Wars. This is someone who understands what we all did when we were talking about being, like, just the way we felt, and the natural, and the old ships and everything. John, when you and I were talking about Lords of the Sith, when we were reading it, you don't feel like this is someone writing. You just feel like you're in the world. And this is what happens with Claudia Gray. And I know that I talked about it again, but the reason I wanted to really tell you guys to get this novel, and don't let the young adult thing fool you. It's a silly. They shouldn't even market it that way, because that's what people go, oh, Star Wars and Twilight. No, this is a Star Wars book. This is the second best Star Wars story in the new canon today.
Is it not pushed as much as Aftermath, because Aftermath is going to have more of a direct correlation with The Force Awakens, whereas opposed to this is canon and it counts in the Star Wars movie universe, but it doesn't necessarily have much to do as far as character-wise with these new movies we're going to get.
Well, I'm going to give a spoiler here. So, and I'll do it in 2 minutes. So if you don't want to hear it for the Book of Lost Stars, to fast forward on. So here's a spoiler. You've been warned. That is the Star Destroyer crashing into Jakku.
That you see at the opening of the one trailer.
Yeah, and they say when Daisy really, that's the one, and how it happens at the end, it all leads up, and when it's happening, you go, that's from the trailer. That's from the trailer. Oh, I get it. And why? Because the Empire is on the run, and they try to battle the rebellion. The rebellion's too powerful at this point. They don't have the staff that they did, and they try, and the higher ups of the Empire, they're making stupid decisions. They don't have the right leadership, and our main characters are part of this. So it's a great story.
I was so glad you told me about this book, because this is how much they have buried this book, that when you brought it up to me 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, I hadn't even heard of this book yet.
Yeah.
Everything has been aftermath. So you were telling me about it. I picked up on Audible. I picked up the book Lost Stars. I just listened to like the first hour and a half this morning at the gym, and it's already so far ahead of Aftermath. Yeah. It is, and here's the difference. There have been a number of the books, the novels that have come out in the new canon have been hit and miss. A couple of them really great, some of them really bad, whatever. But the difference has been this. There are a couple of these books that you read, and they feel like glorified fan fiction to me. It feels like somebody trying to write Star Wars. Then there are a couple of them that feel like Star Wars. Tarkin to me felt like Star Wars. Lords of the Sith felt like Star Wars. I'm only about an hour in, but Lost Stars just feels like Star Wars. This doesn't feel like Claudia Gray is trying to write Star Wars.
Right.
It feels like she's Star Wars, and this is the story of Star Wars. And it's just that feel of it that is so night and day different from what we got in Aftermath. And I can't wait to get into the rest of the book. And by the way, if you don't follow Claudia Gray on Twitter, I've seen very few authors online who will interact as much as she will. She's very active. I've been included in a couple tweets with her as well, and you, and she's very gracious, and she's great. We should try to get her on Jedi Council.
She wants to do it. She wants to do it.
Let's bring her in.
She absolutely wants to do it. And the thing is, because she's aware that, like, I think, that we've helped with getting people to hear about this, because for what we do on this show, we want people to read great Star Wars material. This is great Star Wars material. Pick it up, check it out, listen to it, read it, and then tweet at Claudia Gray and tell her that obviously if you didn't like it, you don't like it. But I haven't heard many people that have picked it up that have said they haven't dug it.
Well, I'm going to, though, pretty soon be echoing, as sure as I get further into the book, I'm going to be echoing the question that Mark already brought up, which is a great question. Why did Lucasfilm put all their money on Aftermath's horse and push that so far to the forefront and bury Lost Stars? One is clearly better than the other.
It's interesting because, and Del Rey Books, who I love, and they've been great, and they've been very supportive of this show as well too. I've been very vocal that I didn't like Heir to the Jedi, but then I've been very vocal that I love Lords of the Sith, both from Del Rey. This is not a Del Rey book. This is a Lucasfilm publishing book. So I wonder.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, this is not a Del Rey book. So I wonder, and same thing with the young reader novels. Also Lucasfilm. So I'm wondering why Lucasfilm Publishing didn't push it harder. So maybe Del Rey has a stronger marketing team. I don't know.
Does Del Rey not have the exclusive novelization rights to Lucasfilm?
Doesn't look like
apparently
it.
not.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, because I had originally thought it was Del Rey because I had reached out because I wanted to get an early copy. I actually went out and bought it during Force Friday. I saw it, and it was because no one was talking about it. And then I just picked it up, and thank God I did because I love it. It's great. All right, there's going to be a lot of stuff. The stuff that's coming out that we're talking about here. I've read a lot of this stuff too. I know that maybe some of you guys haven't, so I definitely want to have a full conversation. If there's any stories, questions you have about the stories, let's open it up. Mark, what's next?
We got Weapon of a Jedi. Kristian is the next book, and I believe the Weapon of the Jedi is that laser sword thing.
Yeah, it is. It is a laser sword. Now, these are the young adult. These are the young reader novels that I was just talking about with Lucasfilm. Okay, so. This is part of the journey to Force Awakens, which is Lost Stars, which is Aftermath. So these 3 young reader books, these are fascinating, and I think tell the most about the journey of Force Awakens than even Lost Stars and even Aftermath, because each one of these books, these young reader books, this one, the Leia one, the Solo one, they all start, the prologue ones, they start right before, it's during the events of Episode 7. So as where the Weapon of a Jedi actually starts with a character who apparently looks just like Tiffany Smith. I don't know if you saw the opening page. It's incredible. But she's talking to C-3PO with the red arm. And C-3PO is talking about, he's a name dropper. So he's talking about Master Luke. And he says, Luke Skywalker. She's like, wait, Luke Skywalker, you work with Luke Skywalker. He's like, oh, you know Luke Skywalker? She's like, who doesn't know Luke Skywalker? He killed the Emperor. He did this. He did that. And C-3PO goes on to tell her a story about what happened, something that happened in between Episode 4 and Episode 5. And what I think, it's this whole thing, you know that guy Sarko that we talked about? Yeah. Sarko is a main character in this. He's a scavenger. He's going to pop up back again. But Luke discovers a Jedi temple in this jungle planet. I think that's Skelly Michael Island.
So Weapon of a Jedi, Moving Target, and Smuggler's Tale are all you get to meet these characters, and whether it's actually Han and Leia or it's somebody who is aware of Luke in the timeline of Episode 7, and then it's told through a flashback.
Yeah, well, actually, and we'll talk about the Leia and Han ones. Those are a little different than the prologues because I think that they're keeping the mystery. They don't want you to know what Luke's up to in Episode 7 yet, as where they're giving you a little tidbit for Leia and Han.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So way back in the day, the very first, I'm sure it's not canon now, it's called Splinter in the Mind's Eye, which was one of my favorite books as a kid. That's the very first Star Wars book that I read after reading the Star Wars novelization. It's written by the same guy, Alan Dean Foster, This reminds me of that because he's wearing that same yellow jacket that he got at the very end of Star Wars.
Right.
And that's what they had him kind of wearing in A Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And he was also on a jungle on a jungle planet, and he also discovered like a Jedi temple,
Right.
and that's where they got, he fought Darth Vader in this, and a lot of that stuff obviously, is not canon anymore. I wonder if they're like kind of like reassembling.
John and I had a conversation back when I was on Far, Far Away. When John was a guest on the show, we had a conversation about what was happening with Legends and canon, and we said that they're going to cherry pick. From things, and they certainly have been. They've been cherry picking a lot of stuff, and I think they actually cherry pick at the end of Aftermath with some stuff. I mean, because even spoiler for Aftermath, if you haven't read it, again, pause it for about a minute, or fast forward a minute. Spoiler in Aftermath is at the very end that it looks like an Imperial woman, Admiral Sloane, is talking to someone who references a lot of characteristics of Thrawn. He listens to classical music, so people think it's either Thrawn or it could be Snoke. But anyway, as far as this goes, Weapon of a Jedi, there's a lot of stuff that happens where even Luke says in the book, he promises Obi-Wan, he promises that he's going to come back to this planet eventually, and I think we're going to see that in Episode 7. And then, Mark, the next one.
We got Moving Target, which features Princess Leia prominently. Is that correct, Kristian?
It is. Now, Moving Target she's the one in the beginning, the prologue for this. What they confirm is that she is the leader of the Resistance. She's talking to that droid I told you before, and she goes and tells a story. Her tale that she tells is in between episodes 5 and 6. Now, I like this one. I haven't read The Smuggler's Tale 2, so that's just going to be more of a preview. This one I have read. I liked this one, but I liked The Weapon of Jedi much better because for this one, what I liked in the first half of it was really cool references to where they have found out that the Empire has built a second Death Star, and she's concerned about trying to find Han Solo. They have intel that he's on Tatooine. All that stuff is going down, but then they send her on this side mission, and it kind of loses me. The one thing, even though I didn't like the comic book of Leia, they reference the comic book a lot. So it goes back to that conversation, John, that we had about as tying in all the canon. Is the books just going to stay to the books and the comics stay to the comics? No. The authors are paying attention to what their characters from other mediums are doing. So you're going to have things referenced from timelines in the comic book. And I thought that was great. But overall, I thought the story's okay. Jason Fry, who wrote Weapon of Jedi, also wrote this one. Writing's fine, but I just didn't care as much for the story.
Go ahead.
Are they calling her a specific title at the beginning? Like is she Supreme Queen Leia?
It was. I think it's General. It's not Queen. It was General. I was paying attention to that. Yeah.
What's up with Neen Nub?
Neen Nub is
underrated.
He plays a pretty big part in the comic books, and that's where the reference comes in because he helps her again. They're they're buddies, and he's a great. You see why, and explains a little bit more of why he was chosen to fly the Millennium Falcon with Lando, as far as why it was so random that they just put him in there. They're developing his character a little bit. And he's got a little bit of personality too, and he cracks some jokes, but he's also he gets along with her really well, and they have a good relationship.
Yeah, see, I trust my friend with that guy, or my girlfriend.
Yeah,
he's not going to try anything.
He's a buddy.
On her.
Yeah, he's a buddy.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I look at the Celestians really a little cringingly now because after the first novel that came out in the new canon was New Dawn.
Yeah,
and there's a Celestian character in that. Looks like this.
Oh right.
They remember the old security monitor woman. It's like, and now it's like, I don't want to think of that when I see him.
Yeah. She was a bit.
Is Neen Noob going to be in episode 7?
Yeah, there was leaked pictures of him that came out. So yeah.
But was it confirmed that it was him or just another Celestian?
It was confirmed it was him and Akbar.
Awesome.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Okay, and the last one, Mark.
We have a preview of Smuggler's Tale, which is about some guy named Han Solo.
Now, I don't know what the actual story is yet, but I did read the prologue because I was interested because I had just read the other one.
You were fishing for Star Wars 7 information.
I absolutely was, and it is my favorite prologue out of the three of them. He's there with the silver hair in a bar, and these smugglers come in, and they're whatever they are. They're looking for a ship, and they're kind of pirates, and they are looking for the Millennium Falcon. And his ears perk up. So, oh wait a minute. So the rumors are true. He doesn't have the Falcon, and then he basically walks over. Let me tell you a story about the Millennium Falcon, and he has a conversation with. And I think it takes place in between 4 and 5. I don't know yet, but I'm very excited to read it. What I really like about it is that Greg Rucka wrote this one, who just wrote and also is writing Shattered Empire.
He's a great writer.
He's a great writer. and I love Shattered Empire, and he gets Han. If you read Shattered Empire, like that's Han. So I'm very curious and excited to read this. I'm going to Miami this weekend, and I'll be reading this the whole way through. Okay.
How do you lose the Falcon? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
In a
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah.
Like he,
They don't tell it. They don't tell us how
I
that
parked it
happened.
right here.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I guess if you're
Chewie.
drinking at a
Yeah.
bar, you shouldn't be driving.
Lost
so
it to the ex-wife, and she sold it. It's a trap. Yeah. All right, next.
So now we have the review that Kristian has read is the comic book Darth Vader, issue number 9. Kristian, you haven't been as high on Darth Vader in recent issues. Does this continue the downward spiral?
Yes. It was my favorite comic for a while, and the ranking is all out of order now because anything with Vader I pay attention to, but it's losing me with this like the mumbly jumbly sci-fi stuff that they're talking about in it, and the characters are not that intriguing. I liked it so much better when it was more simple about him doing his missions and trying to get away from the Emperor, and just it's like it was like a scorned son. Like that's what the first 3 or 4 episodes. I loved it. It's too convoluted now. That's not to say I won't pick up because there's other comics that I'm reading that went the opposite way. Right. So I hope it gets back on track. But is anybody else reading any of it?
I was reading it right up until when he fought all those other kind of like bounty hunters.
Right,
Like there was
that's
a
where it
boss
starts
type
getting silly,
character.
yeah.
And that's where it lost me.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking with you about that, and that's kind of where it lost me. And I was like, I'll pick it up later. And I did. I bought all the other issues, but the impetus to read it was like they're sitting there in a
It
stack
starts
right
to
now.
go down from there. Okay, next.
So did we fare better with Star Wars, issue number 9? That's next up.
Now, to me, this is the exact opposite. Star Wars started off what John was explaining before, as where when the first few issues was like, these are just people who are trying to write Star Wars. It just feels so forced. And then they just found their stride, man, because this is Star Wars. It feels like it. And the worry we had about Han's wife, don't worry about it. It's cool. Then there's a side story here with Luke about he kind of loses his lightsaber, but he gets picked up by a hut. And the hut has a bunch of Jedi artifacts. And they open up these Jedi holocrons. And there's a bunch of little hidden information in there if you check it out. So it's classic Star Wars to me, to where what I loved so much about Empire was those smooth transitions where Luke's story and then Han and Leia's story, but it was just smooth. And I didn't like, oh, go back to that person. Whoever you're going to show me, I'm going to be on board. And that's what they're doing with Star Wars right now. This is a great issue. This comic has really done a great job telling the story of all the characters we love. I recommend it if you're looking to get into a comic book. This is the one to do.
I don't want to turn into your dad, but how do you kind of lose a lightsaber, young man?
Well, he was in a bar that from
He left in
previous,
the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah,
Nothing
previous
good
issue.
happens in a
Yeah.
bar after midnight, whether you're on Earth or you're in a galaxy far, far away.
He walked into a bar with a bunch of creeps, basically.
Yeah.
But it
comedy
starts-
store?
Yeah. All right, last one.
We have, I believe, Lando has a new issue this week, and you also checked that one out. Your thoughts?
Now, Lando is one that has surprised me because, as we were just talking about with the Jedi artifacts, there's dealing with a lot of Sith artifacts because Lando got himself unwillingly, not knowing he stole Palpatine's ship. So on that ship, there is
Typical Lando.
Typical Lando, and there's some Sith artifacts on there, which is really cool. And I'm pretty sure I found they have like an old Republic guard in there as well too. Helmets, but there's one thing that I don't like about it, and there's these 2 weird like cat creatures. Like it looks like Black Panther, and it's like, what the hell are they doing in there? And it's so weird. It's the only part of Lando that I haven't liked is these 2 weird cat creatures.
Yeah, but you don't like cats anyway.
But they shouldn't have big cat creatures in Star Wars. It seemed like something out of
Star Trek.
or something else, or more like the superhero world. It just didn't fit. It was so weird to see these cat creatures fighting with lightsabers too. So it lost me a little bit. But what's going on with the actual Sith artifacts?
I know.
Yeah.
Kitties with
making it sound
lightsabers.
awesome.
But
Where
that's
do I
it.
sign?
So again, a lot of stuff happening in the world of Star Wars canon right now. The books, the comics. If you want to catch up on them, go ahead and do that.
Let me just say about that. The artist they have, Malieve, who's drawing Lando, he's an incredible artist.
He's great.
That's so funny.
But you like cats. Okay. So that's it as far as canon goes. We end the show by talking to you guys. You guys send in tweets all throughout the week, and you hashtag it Collider Jedi Council. We picked out a bunch. We're going to talk about them. Mark, what do we got?
Francisco Lopez writes, "Hey guys, do you think that cats are going to be?" No, that is not what Francisco wrote. He says, "Hey Jedi Knights, I was wondering if you guys will review all 6 Star Wars films before Episode 7. Thank you, and may the Force be with you."
The reason I chose this question is because I wanted to put Campia on the spot.
Good man.
I think it is imperative that we all do episodes 1 through 6 single reviews for the Collider channel.
Well, okay, I'm not gonna lie. This idea crossed my head. It's actually an amalgamation of different ideas, and maybe you guys can help us out here. Tell me if this is a terrible idea or a great idea, or I don't know. But we had earlier talked about, it'd be cool. A lot of people, because these happen online once in a while, people have been asking us, we should do a commentary podcast of movies. Like, sit down, the group of us, watch a movie and just talk through it.
Yeah.
And so the idea did cross my mind before the release of Episode 7 that we should take find a Saturday that all of us are free. I'll send my wife to Spain or Vegas or somewhere.
Put her on an R2-D2 plane.
Yeah.
Put her on an R2-D2, let her go visit Japan or something. And we'll just start like 9 in the morning. We'll bring some mics in there. Dennis will be there too. Bring in some mics, and we'll just play all 6 movies, and we'll just talk through all 6 of them, and then release them as podcasts.
By the time you get to 6,
or
sound like Jabba the
Hutt. Or do what maybe AMC is going to do, which is do 3 one day, 3 no. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought that might be fun. Because it would also be fun to talk about those great original trilogies.
Yeah.
It could also be a lot of fun to talk through the trash of the prequels.
Yeah.
That could be fun too. So, what would you do? What would you want to do?
I mean, I love that idea too, but I also think there's something. I mean, you could do both, to be honest. I would love to see us do reviews of the classic trilogy and the prequels too, because I think that we have very strong opinions on all of the movies, whether they be love or maybe.
And there's good stuff in the prequels.
There is.
It's not all bad.
Yeah, and we've done some really fun reviews, and there would be spoiler reviews, obviously, and we've done some fun reviews from anywhere from Ultron to Mission Impossible. I think they would do pretty well, and we can ask the fans too, if they even care about it too. Would you want to see us do reviews of episodes 1 through 6? And we have to convince Campia to do it. So if you like it, comment and let us know.
It won't be that hard to convince.
Well, I want them to comment.
I think we should do a drunken commentary track to the holiday special.
There you go.
I don't think that.
drunk.
They were drunk when they
And
made
I
that
mean,
special.
We gotta get drunk.
Does that mean we can't be drunk when we do the other reviews?
Well,
You're drunk right now. All right, what's next?
Come on, man. It's 3:00 in the afternoon.
Sure.
Isaac Chavez writes, "Do you guys think that the lightsaber duels for episodes 7 through 9 will be more like the prequels or the original trilogy?"
I love this question
Good
because
question.
it's absolutely a question that had to be asked.
Right.
I think it's going to be a mixture of both. I think we're going to get a different style to where because the fight between Luke and Vader in Empire, it's not technically
No, it was clunky,
but powerful,
epic,
and powerful.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little mixture of that, like just a little more, because you don't bring in the guys from the raid and stuff too. Even who knows if they're going to be doing lightsaber battles, but if they are, because the thing about the raid and the raid 2 was, even though those fights are choreographed and stuff too, it still felt like it was real.
Felt very visceral too.
Yes.
And episode 1, even though that moment of Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's probably the only saving grace from episode 1, it feels very choreographed. And I always say 1, 2, 3, step, duck,
Right,
step,
hoppity,
swing,
hoppity,
swing.
yeah.
You can see it. So
I can't believe I'm the one defending a Phantom Menace scene.
I'll defend that
can't
too.
believe
That
I'm the
lightsaber
one
battle's
who's defending-
awesome.
I love the scene, but it is very choreographed. It's my favorite part of the whole entire movie, and the Duel of Fates is amazing. But it's noticeably choreographed, as where I'm saying the raid is not. So I'd like to see a mixture of the two. But Schnepp, what do you think?
I agree with you. I think it'll be a mixture of the two. I mean, especially that's one of my favorite lightsaber battles is The Empire Strikes Back. It's slower and it's more methodical, but it's more weighty because it's father versus son.
Right.
The fighting with Darth Maul, first of all, the dude never said anything. He looks cool. So it it never mattered to me when he got cut in half. I just was like, wow, that sucks. He never got to talk. He was never built up to be anything other than an image.
Right.
It was all like that hype where Darth Vader is a character. And not only now do you know he was a little punk kid, but then he grew into this guy who was super troubled and turned to the dark side, eventually saving himself and his son. So that's the story so far. So we don't know what's happening in 7, 8, and 9. We don't know what
the
Luke
emotion's going to be
Skywalker-
behind
Yeah,
it,
we don't
right?
know what
That's a
any
good
of these
point.
characters are going to be dealing with it. With what we do know is it is a continuation of the Skywalker story,
Right.
because that's what all the original 6 stories were, and that's what these next 3 are going to be. I don't know if they're going to rock to 10, 11, 12, if they're going to keep going with the Skywalkers. Why not? I think it would be amazing. But I think the fighting styles will be definitely a mixture of old and new.
John?
Well, I remember hearing George once talk about George, like we're on first name basis. Me and George.
Georgie!
I remember this one time George Lucas was talking about the lightsaber fights in the prequels. And I remember one of the things that he mentioned was he really wanted us to feel the power of the Jedis, because in the original trilogy, and I think he's right about this, we got to remember that what we saw was old men past their prime and some guy who's just picked up a lightsaber for the first time. And I understand the criticism about the feeling of the choreography to the fight. I still love the Yoda fights in the prequels.
I just
oddly
feel
enough.
like Yoda, that it was against character again. Like Yoda's whole thing was that he didn't have to, that was like his thing in Empire Strikes Back was just simply uses his hand, moves it. He didn't need to use big moments.
Yeah, but he didn't have a Sith Lord with a lightsaber coming at him
I don't know. He
in
didn't
the
spring-
swamp on
good point.
Dagobah.
Just
Good
seemed
point.
I'll say
against-
this about George and his inconsistencies. He's directing and writing the Phantom Menace, and like, why do the Jedi have super fast speed running in the
Right.
beginning of the movie and then forget about it for the rest of the trilogy?
because he didn't
There's
care
a
about
very
that
good
stuff.
reason for that.
What is that?
You don't deserve to know.
Right. Mark, what do you think about the lightsaber battles?
I think in this new trilogy, you're going to get a lot more kittens with lightsaber battles. I think
I
they're-
want to see that.
I see more cats.
No, I think it'll be. I think it'll feel actually closer to Return of the Jedi, because that was a great battle too. Nobody talks about that as far as great lightsaber duels. That might have been the best one of the original trilogy to me.
All right, what's next?
Name that's way too hard to pronounce on Twitter. Sounds like a droid to me. Sup, guys? Do you think Peter Jackson would be a good fit to direct a Star Wars film?
It's Pisces
Pisces
27.
27.
Pisces 27. No.
No, I would have said 10 years ago, yes. Now, no. I think Peter
Peter
Jackson.
Jackson.
I think he's too. He's suffering from the same problem George Lucas did. Because I think that if you look, all I will say is, well, look what he did with the orcs. The orcs were so great in Lord of the Rings, in the practical makeup and everything, and then I don't want to say laziness, but it's just like he just relied on the tools and made them all CGI, and it took away a lot too. I think that I would have, before Hobbit came out, I would have said yes, but I would say no now.
You know, I never would have said yes. As a matter of fact, I remember when
even a spin-off film?
Yeah,
Really?
I think when they announced. Now, look, remember, these are two different questions of would I like to see Peter Jackson direct a Star Wars film, and do I think he would be a good fit? And I think that what he's asking is, would he be a good fit? When they made the announcement that Disney had taken over Star Wars and Episode 7 was going to come, and we were in that big period when everyone was speculating who's going to direct, who's going to direct. I remember I did this one video about who I don't think should, and one of the guys I mentioned was Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson is a great director. He just really is. Cut out that first hour of King Kong 2. That movie I think is spectacular, but it had lost me by the time I got to hour 2. Anyway, it's not a matter of talent. We talk about this with actors a lot on the show. It's not about talent. He's a very gifted director. He just wouldn't be in my top 5 or 10 picks because I just don't know to be the right fit. I also, I don't know that I'd want Martin Scorsese directing a Star Wars movie either. One of the 3 or 4 greatest directors of all time. It's not a question of talent. It's a question of fit. And so if the question is, do I think Peter Jackson would be a good fit for a Star Wars movie? Even from watching the original Lord of the Rings, which are some of my all-time favorite films, I don't sense the right fit there. So for me personally, I'd say no.
Mark?
Yeah, I think Peter Jackson would be a great fit for the Star Wars universe. But it's also like asking me, do I want to see M. Night Shyamalan direct an Exorcist movie? Like, the talent's there, but I need to see more proof that you actually want to do that course before I just give you the movie. Like Shyamalan has a lot of ability. I need to see that he's back on the right track more than just with The Visit in order to want to see him make more horror movies.
I would throw him an anthology flick. I would be like, yo, do a knee nub movie.
We got to throw Yo in there.
Yo, yo,
Jackson.
Yo, here's the script, yo.
All right. What's next?
Cameron Miller writes, when could we expect the Blu-ray of The Force Awakens to be released?
I think fast. I think probably between comes out in December. I would say April or May, because I think that also give a little bit more promotion to Rogue One in there too in your Blu-ray when it comes out. Everyone's gonna be buying that Blu-ray. But yeah, I would say pretty quick. But Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, May would make a lot of sense. Speaking of Blu-rays, someone just sent me. I don't have it
I
yet.
thought you were about to plug Death of Superman.
No.
Speaking of Blu-rays.
Speaking that John just mentioned, my film, The Death of Superman Lives What Happened, is available on Blu-ray.
Say, man,
Thank you,
that's
John
smooth.
Campia. No, I was going to talk about I'm not always plugging my stuff, Campia. Give me a break.
I thought it was smooth. I thought it was
know.
real smooth.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Star Wars despecialized edition. And someone
Is it
just,
gonna happen?
Robert Meyer Burnett just was like saying, and Gore, all the nerds that we all know and love, were like talking about that just recently on Twitter and on Facebook and
Didn't Gore
whatnot.
just put a picture of that up
He
on
did.
his Facebook
And so I
too?
chimed in, and then Burnett was like, "Yo, I'll get you a copy, son."
Yeah, I wanna see that.
All right,
I
so we're
wanna
gonna
see
get
that.
that. So we'll do a screening of the despecialized version. What that is basically all the original trilogy, just without all the special edition redos. So-
Okay, so The Force Awakens will be eligible to go to Blu-ray at the end of March. That's when it's eligible, meeting the requirements of the agreements between the North American Theater Owners Association and the studios. However, The Force Awakens, big difference, is going to, it might still be in theaters come end of March.
Right.
I don't think that's a
May.
giant
That's why I
stretch.
think May.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think that's a giant stretch to say that. I think there's a half decent chance
Yeah.
it's still in theaters in like the number 11 or 12 spot at the box office still come March. So
That's only
I'm
12
gonna
weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards what you guys are saying. I agree with you. I think May is probably gonna
May
be the target
25th,
date.
Star
I was
Wars.
gonna say
Yeah.
that's
Damn.
you go next thing.
What's next?
Oh yeah, I gotta read it. Julian Catton, hey Cat, writes, do you think there will be a Force Awakens novelization released alongside the movie? I really love reading Star Wars.
It's interesting now because you got to be careful with it. I do think there will be one, and I think that they can benefit from it because stuff that's in the novel that isn't in the movie is canon now. That was never the case beforehand. So there's new things that happen. Like they have to follow everything that happens in the movie has to be in the novel and has to transpire the way it does. But everything, like if a character thinks something, and that's canon now. So it's. I think there will be a
Deleted
novelization.
scenes can be in the book, all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
I think a novelization will happen, but I think it's going to be approached differently. What do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. And I couldn't agree more. Is that you are going to get little inklings into characters' backgrounds and stuff like that. Maybe teases to what's to come, but it's going to stick pretty closely with what the movie told you.
John?
Speaking of novelizations, I haven't. No,
John Campia, you didn't mention The Pride yet. Your book on Kickstarter. What's up?
It's an automatic. It's automatic. There will definitely be a novelization. I agree with you. I think you're bang on with your observation that they're going to handle it very carefully. It's going to be a little bit different because you're right. The Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, those novelizations could take a little bit more liberty if they want to. I do believe you're going to see stuff in the novelization that's not necessarily in the movie, but will have to be 100% concrete, consistent with everything else. But it's absolutely going to come out, no doubt.
Yeah, totally agree with what these guys are saying. That the added scenes that they need to actually make a full book, will be have to be combed through by everyone and like agreed upon. Whatever Skellig's going to be,
They might be working on it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Okay, what's next?
The Lazy Bothan writes,
Love
what
the
are
name.
odds we see a young Lando in the Han Solo film?
100%. That's all I got. 100%.
I will be a little bit more pessimistic than you and say 95.
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteed.
Yeah. Schnepp?
96.
96.
Yeah, I think 100% Lando, 30% on the cats with lightsabers.
Okay.
And you know who I could totally see?
Michael B. Jordan?
No. Why am I forgetting Falcon's name?
Anthony
Oh,
Mackie.
Anthony
I
Mackie.
could totally see Anthony Mackie as a young
Mackie
Lando.
would be good,
He's
but
got
he's so-
the charisma.
He does, but he's so Falcon now. I want to see. You know what? Michael B. Jordan again is getting more and more roles. Nate Parker's a guy I want to see do more stuff. I want Nate Parker, another guy too. He'd be great. All right, got a couple more. What do we got?
Calder writes, just started reading The Weapon of a Jedi. Do you think Skellig Michael Island could be Devarin? I'm almost positive.
I don't know why I have that in there. So Devarin is the planet that I was telling you about on Weapon of the Jedi. Yeah, I think it's a given. I think it's absolutely going to happen. I think that will be the name of the planet. Will be Devarin. They set it up nice. It's like these are the things that they told you and they sold you on by reading these books that you won't be lost if you don't read it, but if you do read it, you get a little special nugget. And I think Devarin's one of those
Speaking
nuggets.
about all these planets, now Knights of the Old Republic, the Sith planet then was called, I believe, Korriban.
Yes.
Now it's because
Moraband.
Now
That's
it's called
Moraband.
Moraband.
Now the thing is with that was changed during Clone Wars. George Lucas himself changed that. Now the reason why they said he changed it is because Korriban was too close to Coruscant, is what he said. But the other explanation, if they decide to do that down the line, which would make sense, there have been many countries down the line that have changed names over the course of time. Moraband could have been one of those things. It could have been Korriban at one point, and then over the course of time changed to Moraband. We don't know, but right now the Sith planet is called Moraband.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
All right. Carl Heinebeck writes, do you think we'll see Lando and or Wedge return at some point in the new trilogy?
Well, if it's Wedge, it's going to be a new actor. But Lando, I think, will appear in episode 8 on the council somewhere.
Is Dennis Lawson passed away?
No, he doesn't. No, he's an a-hole about it.
He's kind of being a jerkwad about it, and like he's got a fairly successful run going on a British TV series right now. I can't remember the name of it, but he decided to shove his nose up in the air and say, "I'm too good for Star Wars," basically.
Yeah,
I'll have a conversation.
And I love Wedge, but you can change actors
easily. You won't be upset if you change.
And with the Lando thing, the other thing that goes towards what you're saying and kind of supports what you're saying that we'll see Lando back is he has maintained a really good relationship with Lucasfilm, whatever. He's done his own voice for Lando in Rebels.
Right.
So they're keeping that relationship.
They just did they're doing a comic on him.
Yeah, I won't be surprised. Look, I'm not willing to say like 80% he'll be back, but don't be surprised at all that we see Lando back.
I'd love to see Lando back. Yeah. Sad news about Mr. Antilles.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do?
Okay, this is the last one.
All right. I'm going to try to approximate how this person sounded when they wrote this. When do we get a new trailer?
I echo his sentiments. I thought, as everybody else did, that we maybe either Force Friday. John thought it was going to be a week earlier than Force Friday. I don't think we're going to see this new trailer until mid-October. I think it's going to be a while now.
I'm going to say May 25th. No.
Because they have a relationship with Steven Spielberg, right?
Yes.
Steven Spielberg.
Bridge of Spies.
Doesn't seem like the right fit.
I'm gonna say Thanksgiving, like right around November.
I'm sorry, I'm
24th,
Canadian.
25th.
When's American Thanksgiving again?
November 25th.
Of October?
Of November.
No, November. I think that's a little too far because
I'm getting it tingling. I think it's happening before the end of September.
Really? All right.
Really? Here's the thing, though. But remember, I don't think it's going to be the end of September. I think it'll probably be mid to late. I'm going to go late October.
Okay.
But for everybody saying, no, they need to come out with a new one now. Guess what? A new trailer, as far as I know, during the course of this episode that we're recording, a new trailer for Star Wars has not yet dropped. Do you think the prospects for the box office returns on Star Wars The Force Awakens has dropped by $1 because a new trailer hasn't dropped yet? No. And they know it. They are pacing themselves, I think, really well. Now, I never would have thought that another trailer would have come out by now. I thought it was going to come out that week before Force Friday because they dropped that 15-second sizzler on. And that made me think, I think they're gonna drop a new trailer tomorrow. So I think maybe late October.
Oh wait, no, we got to bookend this entire show with the fact that they're opening ticket sales on probably the middle of October. Maybe the day that you can buy tickets online is when you get the trailer.
New trailer.
That's how you do business, kid.
Yeah. Wait a second. This table and the person offering the most logical, common sense explanation is the
one who loves the cats with the lightsabers.
All right, now before we go, we didn't do it last week.
I know we forgot last week.
So every week, Schnepp, John, why don't you explain what we do here?
All right, so every week, because new news comes out, and only an idiot does not change their opinion when presented with new facts. So we ask at the end of every episode, at least until we hear something definitive from Lucasfilm, because who knows, maybe the next trailer will give us a definitive answer. Are the Rey and Kylo Ren characters siblings? Is that now? We're asking on a scale of 0 to 100%. Every week we get new information. Every week we see little bits and tidbits. So our scale, you've already seen us here. Our scales have gone like this. So Kristian, let's start with you here on the far end there. Percentage chance that Rey and Kylo Ren end up actually being siblings.
I've started, Schnepp, to give
really
you
high.
where I was at 95, then I went low to 25. I'm at 10% now.
You come down even more.
10%.
Just without giving spoilers.
Yeah.
Did reading Lost Stars affect your opinion?
No, not Lost Stars, but just other things and piecing some stuff together of what I think's happening with Luke.
Yeah, but that should be the rule, though. Is if he reads something, he has to tell us what the information is.
Full disclosure.
Sure, okay.
All right, Mark. What about you? Where's your percentage?
All right. Well, I have some insider sources on the cat world of. They say that it's 50-50. I'm going to go 51%. 51% that they are brothers.
You dropped it pretty big.
I did drop it a little from 60 to 51.
Yeah. Okay, John.
The actor playing Kylo Ren,
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. Okay, so I have to confess a little bit of insider stuff here.
Notice he got
Adam
our
Driver,
prediction before the insider information.
Our Adam Driver was supposed to be on this upcoming DreamWorks film called.
Stop my cat before it eats everything.
You know what?
I'd see that.
I think I have to stop talking. I'm just gonna say that
No,
my
you can't
thing-
do that.
No, actually, you know what? I really have to. I have to
All
stop.
right.
Now that I realize I have to stop
He
talking.
might be punking you again.
But no. I'm going to my numbers adjust a little bit, but I'm still sitting high, so I'm going to go at 72%.
Confident?
All right, Mr. Schnepp.
As the new kid on the block, 93%.
93%. Not that
they-
they're related. That they're
No,
brother
that they
and
are
sister.
brother and sister
They are
of
siblings.
Princess Leia
Yeah.
and Han Solo.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Continuing the Skywalker.
It is
Storyline.
Distant cousins.
Yeah. Okay. That being said, that is the end of today's Collider Jedi Council. I would like to thank the council that joined us today. First, let's start with Boba Schnepp himself. Where can I find you, Bobes?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp and at TDOSLWH. Of course, I am going to pimp my movie now. The Death of Superman Lives What Happened. It's a movie that has nothing to do with Star Wars, but you should check it out. It's a documentary about this Tim Burton Superman movie. You can find it at www.tdoslwh.com. Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure being on the Star Wars.
Of course. Anytime, man. And
Jedi
Obi-Jon Kenobi, where can they find you?
First of all, I think Boba Schnepp might be the coolest name that we have in this
Yeah.
panel. That's
Smith
really
Lord's
cool.
good, too.
I will pimp then my thing. My new novel, The Pride, is coming out in just a couple of months. You can reserve your advanced copy now and support the project. We're going to Kickstarter.com and just searching for The Pride. Otherwise, you can find me Monday through Friday, of course, on Movie Talk, Saturday and Sunday on Mailbag, Tuesdays on Heroes, and of course, right here on Jedi Council on Thursdays. And you can find me on the various social media networks on Twitter and Facebook, just at John Campia.
And Cat2D2, where can they find you?
Yeah, just don't worry about me. It's at 5150 Else. Just Google YouTube cats. Enjoy.
And for me, Kristian Harloff, you can find me Instagram and Twitter at Kristian Harloff. And by the way, if you didn't know, we're doing a very special thing here on Collider, and that is New York Comic Con. Make sure there's a Facebook contest there. You want to go to Facebook. How can you go to Comic Con New York for free? Well, go there and find out. We're letting you go. Very special person.
You get to share a hotel room with the four of us.
No, thank God.
Oh,
no. Just a bunch of
sorry,
cats.
no, that's not happening.
And make sure you get your questions into hashtag Collider Jedi Council. Next week, we'll be back on Thursday. And also check myself, John Campia, and Schnepp out on yesterday's episode of Heroes. That's all we got. That's all you got. Do comments and all that kind of stuff. May the Force